Not central storage is EndTech's temporary storage system project to handle management of all of our items until binary is design complete, built, and ready for use. This project was started shortly after the unfortunate deletion of our original server world. Through the efforts of multiple EndTech members, we managed to get this project design complete within the span of a month, before we even had restarted our survival world. And the end result is not only a storage system, but one that actually works pretty well. I mean, don't get me wrong, NCS certainly does have its issues. I mean, there's plenty of spaghetti wiring behind the scenes, and just down to, the limited amount of time we had to develop it. And in terms of reliability, it's pretty darn reliable. I mean, we've had some minor issues, but for the most part, it just works. In terms of user interface, Not Central Storage, or NCS for short, consists of 4 halls and branching off from the center. Right here we have the bulk storage hall with enough storage for 100 unique items. So you can see in here we got, well, there's no cobblestone right there, but we got like the various stone types, for example, and the wool over here. Oh, and funnily enough, the wool farm from the previous episode actually hooks up directly to NCS, so those shulker boxes are sent directly here, where they are put into bulk storage. Over here, into to the west, we have a general sorting hall, so here we have all the colors. Over here we kind of have the miscellaneous, and then to the east we have another general sorting hall with building blocks, valuables, redstone componentry, and so forth. Over here to the north we have sorting and storage for our non-stackable items. So here we got potions, shears, flint and steel, lava water buckets, mine carts, boats, and then all the other ends of non-stackables. And if for whatever reason our non-stackable storage here fills up, then all further items will simply be sent through lava. But of course, netherite doesn't burn, so right here we have storage for netherite. Essentially, in case this fills up, we don't end up sending netherite into cactus or whatever, and you losing netherite pickaxes, say, if they accidentally got inputted into the storage system. Right here, we have the overflow, so anything that doesn't get sorted from bulk, or the storage halls here will simply just end up here in overflow. The item inputs for NCS are right over here, right along with our wonderful, wonderful map art depicting how Not Central Storage functions. Like, seriously, if you're interested in how NCS functions as a whole, take a moment to just study this map art, and because really I think it does a better job at explaining NCS than I could ever do in this video. I've put many hours into making this map art, and the end result is something I am truly happy with. I can't stop looking at it. It's in the style of a sort of technical / engineering drawing, and for NCS, it just works so well. I couldn't think of a better way to describe how NCS functions via map art. And if you're curious, I created this from scratch using a program called GIMP. Many of you may be familiar with it. If not, essentially it's the open source counterpart to Photoshop. It's not affiliated with Photoshop, obviously. It's a different tool, but it's very useful for, making video thumbnails is typically what I use it for. But yeah, when it comes down to making map arts, this has to be the most effort I've ever put into making a map art. There are 2 separate inputs for NCS. The general input is for literally everything. You can put any items in here, you can put any shulker boxes in here, and the shulker boxes will be unloaded and their contents sorted. Literally, you can put anything in here. And then over here, we have the farm input. So, say, from our farms, we pack up items, into shulker boxes there, well, we can bring shulkers filled with a single item type and put them in here. And that way, they bypass the much slower item sorting and get sorted directly into bulk. Because bulk, makes use of a Shulker box sorter. This particular one is from Samos Visage. Items from the general input flow to the input system. This is pretty similar to the last version of this input system I put out on my channel, which would have been version 2.1, so this is version 2.2. Basically has some minor fixes and such. And you can actually see a bit of a hot fix right here. I actually found out that with this modification of Pal's Shulker box unloader, that if I put a Shulker box that had exactly 3 items in it, it would result in this piston getting short pulsed, and therefore the Shulker box unloader would break. So I have this little fader on here attacked as a pulse extender, and prevents this piston from losing its observer. But yeah, aside from that, there aren't really much in terms of changes with this, just minor things like reducing redstone dust and so forth. Over here we have a sequential Shulker unloader, and actually any Shulker boxes and such that are filtered out from the input system rather than getting unloaded immediately go over here to this sequential Shulker unloader. Shortly after NCS was completed, we immediately started sorting stuff and had a complete backlog of Shulker boxes, most of them from digs, with the most common item type from them being, well, as you may guess, sewn. And this sequential Shulker unloader has brought the remaining time it would have taken our storage system to sort all those Shulkers of items down from, about, I don't know, over 100 hours to under 24 hours. And beyond that, this is also useful for future digs. So say we have small digs, not enough to really warrant into setting up an item sorter on the dig site, we could just truck items into mixed Shulkers, bring them here to NCS, and thanks to this sequential Shulker unloader, it'll be able to handle it just fine. Now for the thing that allows NCS to work as reliably as it does. The portal chunk loading grid. Many systems within NCS have the ability to request chunk loading. So for example, the Shulker box sorter has the ability to request chunk loading. And many of these systems also require that chunk loading be active in order to start sorting. So right here we can see this dark green line will depower and when chunk loading is instated, allowing the Shulker box sorter to, well, start sorting Shulker boxes. The portal chunk loading grid will remain active for about 3.5 to 4 minutes after the last system has requested chunk loading. This ensures that when the chunk loading grid does go offline, the storage system is completely inactive and completely done with whatever sorting it was doing. You're probably asking, why is the portal chunk loading grid located up in the sky? And the simple answer for that is so that way the portal synchronization is absolutely perfect. Because you see down here, we got other nether portals around and so forth. And it would be much more difficult to sync these portals if we say had them at bedrock than it is to keep them synced up here near world height limit. So that's the reason for why they are up here in the sky. Anyways, that's all the interesting things I wanted to talk about with NCS. Obviously, I don't have enough time to, literally go over every single detail about NCS and the thought process behind every design choice or design mistake. Depends on how you look at it. But yeah, anyways, if you yourself are curious and want to check out NCS, well, for yourself, you can actually find a world download to it in the description. Now, full disclaimer and such, NCS isn't a perfect storage system. It has some flaws, so therefore I probably wouldn't recommend anyone out there just copy paste and go build it. Especially if you're in single player. It's really geared towards multiplayer. And included in that download will also be the project file for the NCS map art. Like, I spent so much time on this thing, I cannot end up just not share it. Like, Yeah, anyways, if you're going to make a similar map art, like, yeah, I don't know, you know, maybe you got a storage system of your own and you like the idea of making a map art like this, then check out that project file. It might be helpful. Although the text within it may not render correctly because, yeah, by default you probably don't have the Minecraft font installed into GIMP. So if you don't have that set up, then yeah, you're gonna have to look into how to install a font for GIMP and such. But anyways, guys, until next time, whenever that might be, I'll catch you all later. Bye.